Hi, welcome back to Pod Hour. Welcome to another episode of Odds Thoughts, the Emmy award-winning and Golden Globe nominated podcast. I'm Odd Hour, your host as usual, and today we're going to be discussing Xbox. Xbox a little bit more in depth after the very recent agreement to a deal of purchasing Activision Blizzard. Now, that deal's not actually in place yet, but it's been agreed upon. They just need to sign all the paperwork and whatnot. I believe that's happening in June or July of later this year. And that's a big deal. That's a really big deal for a number of reasons, which we will get into. And it's going to cover things like the console wars, which I've already talked about, Xbox versus PlayStation and whatnot, if you still believe in that, which I do not, which we will also discuss. The future of certain franchises that Activision Blizzard owns, like Overwatch and Call of Duty and whatnot, and already rumors that are coming out because of that. I'm just going to get right into it. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's start talking. So, what does this mean for Xbox? Well, Xbox buying Activision Blizzard for $70 billion, to me, marks a huge shift in the gaming sphere. Now, that goes without saying, but the reason I'm saying that is because I think it is Xbox's way of stepping out of making consoles. Now, that's a pretty bold claim. It's a pretty bold claim to say that one of the biggest console makers is like, no, we don't want to do consoles anymore. And the reason I say that is because of how prominently they've been pushing PC. Microsoft also owns Windows. Microsoft Windows is its full name. Steam is huge. PC gaming is 100% on the rise. That's where games are being made. Like VR and all these other things that are coming out is very heavily PC focused. Xbox themselves are simultaneously releasing new releases on PC and Xbox at the same time. Buying a company like Activision Blizzard allows Microsoft to still make money off of people buying things on their platforms, be that Xbox or PC. But the reason I think they're going to stop making Xboxes altogether is because the Xbox is not selling very well. Excuse me, and that's for a number of reasons, right? Let me take a drink of water here. If you look at the sales between the Xbox One and the PS4, again, this is one of my favorite statistics, my favorite metrics, or whatever you want to call it. The PlayStation 4 has outsold the Xbox One by a factor of 2.5. The last number I looked at was 100 million PS4s to 40 million Xbox Ones worldwide sales. That is amazing that the PlayStation 4 outsold the Xbox by that much. If you believe in the console wars, then it's over. PlayStation 1. There's a new report that came out that PlayStation 5 is outselling the Series X, which makes sense given the Series X's interesting naming convention and a number of other things like availability and whatnot. People still can't get their hands on a PS5, which is a whole other issue that I've also discussed. It's just Microsoft is losing. Microsoft is losing. A lot of their big games that are coming out aren't hitting as hard. Their exclusives are starting to die out. But their big saving grace right now is Game Pass. Game Pass is by far the best gaming deal out there. The amount of content and games that you can play on Game Pass, be it on PC or Xbox, is astounding. It is an astounding number of games that you can access, and it is a constantly changing library. They change it every month or two, maybe even more frequently than that. Games are coming, games are going. Like EA, their EA Play is a part of Game Pass now too, so that entire library. Let's also not forget that Microsoft bought that other company, Bethesda, whose name escaped me for just a second until I remembered. They bought Bethesda. Bethesda makes phenomenal games. Skyrim, Fallout, Skyrim again, Skyrim 10 years later, another version of Skyrim. Skyrim is available on Amazon Alexa. Okay? Bethesda's a good company. Good pickup there. But that also lends to my claim that they're going to stop making consoles. I think the Series X might not be the last one. I think they'll try one more time after this because they don't want to give up on consoles. But realistically, looking at how much money you can make by owning software and selling it everywhere, forget about exclusives. If you own Activision Blizzard and that's where you're making your money, you're selling games to PlayStation 4 players. You're making money. You can do whatever you want. You own that. You own Call of Duty. It would be so incredibly selfish to keep Call of Duty to Xbox exclusive, because that doesn't make any sense. You're going to lose money out on that because more people are buying PlayStations. Straight up. Overwatch is crossplay, so wherever you're playing with friends anyway. Makes no sense to limit that to Xbox exclusives. Some games, yeah, you can make single player games Xbox exclusive the way PlayStation makes their great, phenomenally well written, well put together games single player. If Xbox starts saying, hey, you can keep making your multiplayer games, make them on every platform that's available if you can. PlayStation, Switch, Max, whatever. Do it. Do it. That's more money in my pocket. Phil Spencer is loaded right now. So much money. And they're only going to keep making money. Microsoft owns Windows. Microsoft owns Windows. That is their market. If they triple down on that the way that they've been doing with how much they're pushing PC Game Pass and whatnot, they're golden. They are so golden. They don't need to do anything. These companies know what they're doing. Hopefully, Microsoft doesn't try to get super involved with the development process of these games from these companies, because then things start to fall apart. They have their vision, what their method works. Let them do their thing and just sit back and make the money. That's what Microsoft should do. And again, I think that they're going to stop making consoles. If you just keep making software, do the opposite of what Sega did. Sega's consoles bombed. Xbox isn't necessarily bombing. It's just bombing in comparison. And to say that it's bombing in comparison isn't necessarily true. They're the top 3 consoles. They're the only 3 consoles. That's Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. Right? Those are the big 3. If you're third in that race, you're still making billions of dollars. You could stay there comfortably if you want, but you don't have to. Because if you start to lose money on making consoles, or you decide it's just not a worthy venture anymore, you have all these companies to fall back on. Let them make single-player games for Xbox, and let everything else be multiplayer and multi-platform, right? Xbox is killing it with Game Pass to the point where Sony is like, hey, we want to come up with our own Game Pass. Those rumors came out a while ago. Great. Good job. You absolutely should. PlayStation's backwards compatibility is nonsense. It's non-existent. I can play Xbox games, Xbox original games on my Series X. That's amazing. If the rumors are true and Sony does this multi-tier level of old games from PS1, PS2, PS3, PSP, and PS Vita games, then they are a serious competitor to Game Pass. Xbox might look at that and step up and start expanding their library. The downside to that is Xbox might not necessarily have that library to expand on, because a lot of their exclusives are already on Game Pass, and their backlog isn't as super extensive, right? Halo is the big one. Gears of War are the big 2 that come to mind for Xbox exclusives. And there are already HD collections of those. Well, Halo, I don't know if there's a Gears of War HD. I forgot right now. Doesn't matter. Gears of War is still playable. Gears 5 is out. Haven't played it. I own it. Haven't touched it. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. Probably because I think Marcus Phoenix is going to die, but I haven't played it because I'm scared to find out. Don't tell me. So yeah, Sony coming out with their own Game Pass as a competitor to Xbox's Game Pass is genius. You need that to compare, because right now there's no comparison as to which service is better between PlayStation Now and Game Pass. PlayStation Plus and Xbox Gold, I think PlayStation Plus is better. They offer better games on their monthly service. Xboxes are There are some hidden gems in there. I would credit where credit is due. But for the most part, you're talking about big name games on PlayStation. Some even day one releases like Fall Guys in 2020, right? PlayStation has them beat there. The issue is they can't compete with all this extra money that Xbox is making from Game Pass. So Xbox comes out and they buy Activision Blizzard. How many franchises is Activision Blizzard responsible for? And they're subdivisions of Toys for Bob and God knows how many other things. That is, I cannot put into words how impactful that is. And Xbox is just going to start raking in dough. They're going to make money off of PlayStation now. That's brilliant. Brilliant. Outstanding move from Xbox. And a good move. Step out of consoles. I don't want them to. Let me be clear about that right now. I love Xbox, I love PlayStation, I love my Nintendo Switch. I love all three of these, and I love my computer that I'm using right now to talk to you. Right? I love all of the platforms. I don't believe in the console wars. I think it's nonsense. I think it's just a way to try to promote sales and get people to buy games for their friends and whatnot. It's this whole big thing. My point is, what was my point? I don't even know. Let me backtrack for a second. Let me think about what I was trying to say. Right. I don't think that Xbox should stop making consoles. And the reason I don't think that they should stop is because of how expensive PCs can be. Graphics cards, especially top of the line graphics cards, are not only expensive, they are difficult to make, and they are difficult to find in order to purchase because of their limited availability. Similar to consoles. That's where we are right now. And Windows, Mac is not, like, Apple is just not putting out iOS that lets you play games anymore. The more iOS updates that come out, the less games are available from Steam and whatnot. So, Apple is very clearly sending a message to any potential gamers out there that that's not the platform you want to be on. To the point where people should start considering partitioning their hard drives to make half of it run as a Windows and the other half on iOS, if they really like their Macs. Windows for gaming, iOS for everything else. That's the right way to go about it, if I'm being completely honest. It's what you should do. Because iOS is not helping you. Your Steam library means nothing to them. That's not what they're focused on. I don't know why. I don't know who at Apple decided that, because that's just them losing out on money. That is a terrible business decision of saying, yeah, we don't really like people with billions of dollars in disposable income to buy video games. Meh. Get a PC. As if Macs aren't already expensive enough. Macs are so expensive, but PCs are still cheaper. And I'm saying PCs are expensive. Think about that for a second. Now, beyond that, Microsoft owns Windows. They're making their money off of Steam purchases regardless, because of people who want to buy computers who need to buy Windows keys. Be they buy it wholesale from a site that might sell them on like a shady website, or from Microsoft themselves. They're making their money. Don't you worry. They're making their money. My point is, they need to keep making consoles for now, because it's, even with its limited availability, it is still the cheaper option. So I think the Series X, it's only, a year old, over a year now, right? It's going to be around for a while. I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. I think PC gaming is on the rise, and it's going to stay on the rise until it dominates, if it's not already doing so. I haven't looked at any numbers. And I think Sony and PlayStation are eventually going to die out, because Sony themselves are like, hey, now wait a minute, we can make money off of PC too. God of War is on Steam right now. Like, what? PlayStation exclusives are also coming to PC? Everything is coming to PC. It's just computers. PCs taking over the world. Which, not a terrible thing. PCs are phenomenal. There are things I can do on my PC that I can't do anywhere else. Just based on how good your graphics card is alone. VR being one of them. Right? PlayStation VR, I haven't heard good things about. I haven't heard of any other VR things that aren't related to like Facebook or a really strong computer. That's just where things are headed. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, in order to make sure that people are still buying your games, you need to make things available. So if you stop making Xbox, if you turn the Xbox production line into a PC production line for a similar price, gold. That is a gold mine. Call it the PC box. Call it the XPC. Genius. It already runs Xbox and PC games because you made it cross-platform. That's what you're doing right now as a company. Genius move. Also, side note, Toys for Bob did a really good job on Crash 4. How about a Banjo-Kazooie remake? Microsoft, if you're listening, hi, I love you. Please, tell Rare. You can do it. I know you can. If you know somebody who works at Microsoft, you tell them to call me so I can convince them. Because if you're not doing it already, I don't know what to tell you. I'll do it. I don't mind that. It's just the potential for what Xbox can do owning Activision Blizzard is phenomenal. And it also makes me a little scared. Some people are saying, oh, it's a monopoly. It is not by any means a monopoly. There are still plenty of other publishers out there. This is just one of the bigger ones that got swooped up, that also bought their own tons and tons of studios. Microsoft has been doing this for a while. Activision was just like a great white shark in a fish in a sea full of fish. You know? Some people are saying like, oh, Sony should buy Rockstar and all these other things too. Sony doesn't need Rockstar. Sony's exclusives, phenomenal. Beyond top tier games in almost every aspect of the word. Like, it would be hard to find an exclusive on PlayStation that's bad. And for those of you listening on the podcast, I did the little air quotes thing. As someone outside, there's a snowblower outside. It's snowing today. I'll say this again just in case, and I'll leave this in because I think it's funny. Just let the snowblower go by. It would be hard to find a PlayStation game that's bad, as I put in air quotes. Because all the PlayStation games are phenomenal. And they look like, in the future, they look like they're going to be good too. Marvel Spider-Man 2 looks great. God of War Ragnarok looks great. Those are the only two I can think of right now that make me really excited. Marvel's Wolverine is definitely going to be a PlayStation exclusive. Sony's killing it. They've been killing it for years. Which is probably why they've been outselling Xbox this whole time. If Xbox starts making single-player games exclusive to Xbox, now they're a direct competitor to Sony. Because right now, Sony has multi-platform games, no problem. Both consoles offer that. But their single-player experience is way better. You don't always need to play a multiplayer game. A testament to how significant single-player gaming is how good Sony does. Right? How good Sony has been doing. So, if Xbox takes these companies and says, okay, we want you to make single-player games, and you're only going to make them for Xbox or PC, I just had a thought. Now, what if they make a bunch of games available for PC, but keep single-player games exclusive to Xbox, and that's how they keep their console going? That's a good idea. If you make single-player experiences only available on Xbox, then people need an Xbox to play it. Then you could still make consoles. Then you're much more viable in a console market where you are not dominating anymore. Maybe Xbox was at some point. I don't even know. That doesn't matter. What matters is right now, right this second. Forget about historical values. Forget about PlayStation selling out Xbox One. PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One. Forget about that. Right now, PlayStation 5 is killing. You can compete with that by matching their market, by matching their business strat of great single-player games while maintaining multi-platform games. And you can fall back on it because you're the one providing these multi-platform games. You're the one providing Call of Duty, which is a massive seller. You're the one providing Overwatch. You're the one providing every other game that Activision makes. Activision, as a label, is responsible for so many games. You have no idea. You have no idea how many games Activision is responsible for. Put all that together, and you have so much more influence. I think that's a better idea than what I was saying. In the course of talking it out, I changed my mind. I don't think Xbox is going to stop making consoles. I think they're going to double down on consoles while falling back on PC because they can. That, mark my words, that's what's going to happen. Man, makes you think, right? Let me know what you think. If you're listening on the podcast, hit me up, join the Discord, and let me know what you think. If you're watching on YouTube right now, let me know what you think. It's a short episode. I just wanted to get my thoughts out, and I feel like I hit all the nails on the head for at least what I wanted to say. But now it's your turn. What do you want to say? Let me know. Let's discuss. And thank you for listening, if you're listening on the podcast, for watching, if you're watching on YouTube right now. I hope I see you soon. If I don't, take care of yourself and be good.